Welcome to our Surveillance Investigations Training Manual. This is Section 1, Preparation and Travel to the Assignment. This section is basically broken up into four separate headings. We're going to cover some of the surveillance equipment that each investigator needs. Then I'm going to cover a little bit about what type of surveillance vehicle equipment, what types of supplies you need inside your surveillance vehicle. After we cover that, I'll talk a little bit about exactly how you need to be prepared in terms of your knowledge of the case, the investigation assignment sheet, and how you need to be prepared there. And then we're going to talk a little bit about the actual travel to the surveillance assignment. But let's start with covering some of the basic surveillance equipment. Surveillance equipment, this is just kind of recommended. This is what we at Western Investigations recommend that you have. Okay, there's some things that are absolutely required equipment. I'm going to cover those first. Okay, you got to have, first of all, you have to have a camcorder. It's absolutely imperative that an investigator has a camcorder. Some investigators feel like they can roll digital film with their phone, but preferably if you have a camcorder, the quality of your video will be much improved. We at Western Investigations highly stress the importance of having a camcorder that burns digital video, meaning it burns video onto an SD card or an internal memory, because it's a lot easier for us to deal with that. If you're burning it on, or if you're recording it onto tape, that can make it really difficult for us, because then you got to get it from that tape into digital or electronic form so that you can transfer it to the office. So it's a lot easier if you can burn it immediately onto an SD card or an actual hard drive. So you got to have a camera. That's important. Another thing that's absolutely mandatory in terms of equipment is you have to have a phone. Okay, communication is a very important part of the investigation process, and we need to be able to communicate with you during the course of the investigation. You need to perhaps even be able to communicate with the client. Okay. Those two are absolutely imperative, mandatory. Another thing that's absolutely mandatory is you need to have some method of taking notes. Now, I recommend that you buy something like this. Okay, this is a lot of private investigators, especially guys who do a lot of surveillance. They carry something like this. You'll see it. Sometimes they come in plastic form. This is pretty sturdy, but it gives you a compartment. It allows you to take notes on a piece of paper, where you can jot down things like the address that you followed someone to, where you started, descriptions, what time something occurred. You can jot it down. You need to have notes, okay? Because you're always thinking about, as you're conducting your surveillance, you're always thinking about your report. This also provides you with kind of a handy place to store things like hidden cameras, micro cameras, maybe a recording device. There's a lot of things you can store in here that can be helpful for you. And it's just a sturdy method. It's a sturdy base to write upon. So this is an important thing. I would encourage you to have this. I would call that mandatory if you're going to be doing some surveillance. Obviously, you need to have some type of writing utensil too. Be prepared on the surveillance assignment. Preparation. Being prepared to go out on surveillance is perhaps the most underrated part of being a private investigator or being a surveillance investigator. People think surveillance is just about following somebody or getting film. That's an important part too, but really, investigators, you give yourself a much greater chance to get that quality evidence if you're fully prepared. Okay, some other suggested items. We recommend you have some type of small light or flashlight. A lot of the infidelity, cheating spouse, family law cases that we conduct take place at night. The workers' comp, most of those occur during the daytime hours, but we do a lot of infidelity and family law cases, and it's not uncommon for our surveillance investigators to be working at night, and it's important to have some type of flashlight. Okay. Another important item, if you have it, I would recommend that you have a laptop computer. Many reasons why this is important. You can actually start your report in the field, so it gives you a jump start on that. You can, if you have internet access, obviously you can understand the importance of having a laptop in the field. You can run searches. You can log into our GPS tracking website, so that if the subject we're following has a GPS, you can track them right there. A couple other reasons, a couple other things you might need. A GPS device, we recommend this is not mandatory, but I would recommend it if you never know when it might come in handy to be able to tag the subject's car with the GPS. So if you have it, and if you're doing GPS installs and you're trained for us in that capacity, I would recommend that you have a GPS device with you. A couple other things that are important, and I would call this next one mandatory, especially given how inexpensive they are. You need some type of hidden camera capabilities, some type of discrete camera capabilities. Keep in mind, our purpose out there is to produce evidence for our clients. And if we're able to produce hidden camera video, it can make a huge impact on our client. So we encourage all of our investigators, they're so inexpensive now, to have some type of hidden, concealed micro camera capabilities. This right here is a iPod Shuffle cam. It has a little micro SD card right there. There's the hole. You probably can't see it, but there's a little hole. You can keep it charged. When you get back to your computer, you can plug it in. It goes into the USB. You can download your video. Clients they do backflips over sometimes our ability to get that hidden film. You can buy these for $15-20. Okay, you can buy them online at eBay. There's the one that's really helpful is the keychain cam. I don't have one here, but you can buy those for $10-12. Shipping included. They'll ship them to you, and it gives you the ability to roll film in a bar, in a restaurant, in a hotel, in an elevator. You can actually get those shots in situations where it wouldn't be practical to try to break out your camera and roll film. Okay. Now, obviously, I'm well aware a lot of investigators can use their cell phones, but people become a little savvy and a little aware, a little more likely to be aware that you could be recording them with a cell phone. They would never suspect if you had this pinned on your chest or this, or you're carrying a keychain. They never suspect a camera, okay? So keep that in mind. These things are important. Another important item is to have some type of still camera capabilities. We roll film during the course of our investigations. We roll a lot of film. But then when you do your report, it's an extra step if you have to try to obtain still pictures, still photos from the film. It's a lot easier if in the first place you just snap a still shot. So I would encourage you to either have a camcorder that gives you the capability of taking still shots, and during the course of the investigation, when you first get out to the assignment, which is our policy, is you'll learn we require 3 to 4 pictures on every assignment, whether it's nighttime, whether it's daytime, whether you see the subject or not. We want you to take 3 or 4 still photos because we want to include them into the body of our report. So some method of taking still shots. So this is just the basic equipment that, another important device, have binoculars, okay? They don't have to be this big. Obviously, we use these on our boat, but it's important that a field investigator have binoculars. These can come in handy, especially at nighttime. Having some binoculars really can help you see what's going on down the street. Even if you can't roll film of it, you can see what's going on. Have some binoculars handy for yourself. Make it a basic part of your surveillance equipment. There's a lot of other things that as you grow in the industry, as you grow as a surveillance investigator, that you might want to have. But these are some of the basics, and some of these are absolutely required that we stress it's important to have at Western Investigations. It really, really can make a difference in the quality of your surveillance assignment. It doesn't always make a difference. But there are those cases you never know when it's going to come up, when you're going to need a flashlight or your binoculars, or when you're going to have an opportunity to tag a car with the GPS, or you're never going to know when that opportunity might arise where you can use a hidden camera. It's just best to be prepared. So that's what we stress. This is the basic surveillance equipment that we recommend you obtain when you're doing work for us. Thanks a lot.